History is a vast tapestry woven with the threads of countless civilizations, cultures, and pivotal moments. Throughout human history, distinct periods and trends have emerged, each leaving a profound mark on society, politics, fashion, technology, and art. Understanding these historical eras offers not only insight into how the world evolved, but also a deeper appreciation of the cycles of change that continue to shape modern life. One of the most iconic periods in Western history is the Victorian Era, which spanned from 1837 to 1901 during the reign of Queen Victoria in Britain. Characterized by rapid industrialization, strict social norms, and a flourishing of the arts and sciences, the Victorian period reflected both the optimism and anxieties of a society undergoing dramatic change. Fashion was ornate and modest, featuring corsets, crinolines, and top hats. Literature thrived with writers like Charles Dickens, the Bronte sisters, and Oscar Wilde capturing the spirit and struggles of the age. Meanwhile, technological advances like the steam engine and telegraph reshaped communication and transportation. Moving forward into the early 20th century, the Roaring Twenties exploded with energy, defying the somber mood of the preceding World War. This era, particularly in the United States and parts of Europe, was defined by economic prosperity, cultural liberation, and a spirit of rebellion against traditional norms. Jazz music surged in popularity, women gained the right to vote in many countries, and the fashion world saw a dramatic shift with the rise of the flapper, an icon of freedom, characterized by shorter hemlines, bobbed hair, and bold makeup. Art Deco architecture, speakeasies, and the birth of Hollywood's golden age all encapsulate the vibrancy and hedonism of the 1920s. However, the exuberance of the Roaring Twenties was followed by the devastating crash of 1929 and the subsequent Great Depression. Economic hardship and widespread unemployment dominated the 1930s, leading to significant political shifts across the globe. Social realism became a prevailing trend in art and literature, reflecting the struggles of the common people. World War II, from 1939 to 1945, marked another defining chapter in history. This global conflict led to unprecedented levels of destruction and reshaped national borders, economies, and ideologies. The post-war period, particularly the 1950s, was characterized by a sense of renewal and a desire for stability. In America, this era saw the rise of suburban living, the baby boom, and the emergence of consumer culture, symbolized by the popularity of automobiles, household appliances, and television. Meanwhile, the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union began to loom, casting a shadow over political relations for decades. The 1960s broke dramatically from the conservatism of the previous decade. This period is often remembered for its social revolutions, civil rights movements, anti-war protests, and a flourishing of counterculture. In fashion, the 1960s introduced miniskirts, bold prints, and mod style, while music legends like the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix defined the soundtrack of a generation. Technological advances, such as the space race, culminating in the moon landing in 1969, underscored a spirit of innovation and ambition. The 1970s continued the trend of societal questioning, but were also marked by economic challenges, such as the oil crisis and stagflation. This decade saw the rise of environmentalism, second-wave feminism, and significant shifts in global politics. In culture, disco music and bell-bottom jeans captured the exuberant side of the era, while punk rock and grunge fashion signaled an emerging spirit of rebellion and dissatisfaction. In the 1980s, society saw the emergence of new economic and cultural dynamics, driven by technological innovation and globalization. Personal computers became more common, mobile phones were invented, and cable television transformed entertainment. The fashion of the 1980s was bold and excessive, featuring shoulder pads, neon colors, and power suits. Music videos became a dominant cultural force thanks to MTV, and pop icons like Michael Jackson and Madonna achieved unprecedented levels of fame. Politically, the decade was marked by the policies of Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, the rise of neoliberal economics, and the eventual fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. The 1990s ushered in a period of relative economic prosperity, the expansion of the internet, and a new cultural confidence. Grunge music, led by bands like Nirvana, defined the early part of the decade, alongside the rise of hip-hop as a dominant cultural force. Fashion leaned toward minimalism with simple slip dresses, cargo pants, and iconic brand logos. The decade also saw the globalization of culture as technology connected people across the world in ways previously unimaginable. The early 2000s were shaped by technological advancements, such as the rise of smartphones and social media, and by global events like the September 11 attacks, which had profound effects on international relations and security policies. Fashion trends became increasingly diverse, blending vintage influences with futuristic styles. Pop culture embraced a wide range of styles, from the rise of reality television to the dominance of franchises in film and music. Today, the 21st century is characterized by a rapid pace of change. Technology, social activism, environmental consciousness, and globalization continue to drive historical trends. Fashion and culture have become increasingly inclusive and diverse, reflecting broader societal shifts toward equity and representation. Movements such as Black Lives Matter, climate activism, and the reevaluation of historical narratives show that history remains a living, dynamic force. Every historical period brings its own set of challenges, triumphs, and transformations. By understanding these eras and the trends that define them, we gain not only a sense of where we have been, but also clues about where we are heading. History is not static. It evolves, responding to the hopes, fears, and dreams of each generation. As we continue into an uncertain future, the echoes of the Victorian Era, the Roaring Twenties, the revolutionary 1960s, and every era in between remind us that change is the only constant, and that each new age is built upon the foundations of the past.